What's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be releasing 4 rental teams to get you started in your Regulation C play. So these are all teams that I have made and tested extensively and have others use them in potential tours and whatnot and had decent results. So I figured now is a good time to make these rentals and get you guys started, and so this way you have something to use and something to play with, and at least a little bit of a starting point, just in case you guys have no idea where to start or where to begin. And I have an idea as far as like where the format is at the given moment. So what I tried to do was put together at least 4 teams that are very different from each other, and they're pretty indicative of how the format is right now. So yeah, what I'm going to do is show you the rental codes, and then I'm going to show you the Pokepaste and go over the EV spreads and explain how I did the EVs the way I did. Alright, but again, at the very least, these are not like super perfect teams. They're very solid and consistent still, and that's really what I was going for, is to just give you a solid baseline as to like where to start in terms of the format, and then from there, once you get an idea and once you get the hang of it, you may make some tweaks to your own teams and start to understand like, okay, this is where we are in the meta, this is what's working, this is what doesn't work, and then from there, this is what I want to do and how I want to play it. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and go straight into the first rental team. Alright, so with the first rental that we have here is our Baxcalibur Ting-Lu team, and this is pretty much the same team that we had in terms of the rain team building video, except there's no rain. So no Pelipper here. I decided to, X that and just put in the Arcanine here, and maybe you might see the Pelipper rain team with this squad in the future, but I decided to just go a little bit more balanced here with the Arcanine instead. And if you want to just use that rain team, feel free to just make the team yourself. You have the spreads in the video. But as far as like this team is concerned, I decided to just go, with like a very solid Fire, Water, Grass core with Arcanine, Amoonguss, and the Palafin, and then just surround it with, some strong options like Baxcalibur and Flutter Mane. And then the Ting-Lu here is actually really nice because you're able to reduce special attack damage. So this way the Baxcalibur and the Palafin are able to do what they need to do. And then you just rely on the defensive backbone of Arcanine and Amoonguss. And then from there, the Ting-Lu can also come in and deal some damage as well. You can alternate stuff between, clicking fissures and then making your stomping tantrum stronger. If your fissures do miss, you do have a steal coverage, for the opposing Flutter Mane matchup, right? And then the Assault Vest just makes it so that you stay on the field. And combined with the Arcanine support, you're just able to, neuter both types of damage and help out your team, just stay on the field and be bulky. And just deal a bunch of damage, right? And the Flutter Mane over here has Substitute, really good into like Trick Room, Tailwind teams, because those kinds of teams, on turn 1 they play relatively passive, and then if you're just able to get off a free Substitute, and on that turn you're able to stall them, because then you can just click Protect the next turn, right? And then that's 2 turns of their Tailwind or Trick Room teams gone. All right, so then of course you have the Palafin stuff. Once you just pivot it out and position it properly, Palafin starts doing a bunch of damage. With the Mystic Water stuff, and it just has a lot of pressure that you can deal out with if you can just position it properly. And then of course Haze, it's really nice, into Dondozo stuff. Not that Dondozo's running around a lot right now because I think it dropped heavily, but you still want to respect the option. You don't want to lose to it, right? So as long as you have Haze, you can get around that. But you have a little bit of priority here with the extreme speed on the Arcanine and the Ice Shard on the Baxcalibur, but overall just a very solid standard balance team that you can use to get the ball rolling in your ladder climb. Alright, so let's take a look at the Pokepaste here. Alright, so with the Baxcalibur EV spread, this is the same EV spread that I did in the other video, right? But for the most part, the goal was to, with Ting-Lu in, you're able to take the Flutter Mane Moonblast choice specs, and then at the same time, you're also able to have a very nice chance of getting the 2-hit KO from the Ice Spinner, from the Chien-Pao. So that was the idea with that EV spread, and then you just hit the EV bump with the 116 mark in the Animate Nature, and then 132 HP gets you to 207, which is optimized for the Tyranitar Sandship weather damage. All right, and then the rest just went into speed, just to have a little bit of speed, for outspeeding other potential Baxcaliburs or other Pokemon within that speed tier that want to play a little bit more bulky. All right. The Amoonguss here is optimized for the Citrus Berry recovery. Normally, I would put 236 investment to get 219 HP to optimize the regenerator bonus that you would get from pivoting in and out. But because I have the berry, I decided to put 1 point more just to have a nice even number and get an even recovery with the Citrus Berry. The Arcanine, this is our old Arcanine set that we used back in Regulation B. We gave it to Maheen VGC, and he used it to get top 10 in the Victory Road Challenge. So I figured it's a very, very good Arcanine spread and what it's supposed to do. But the idea here is you're able to take the Hydro Pump from the Iron Bundle effectively. You have just a 6.3% chance of getting KO, which is really great. So you have a 93% chance of surviving it. And then also with that 68 defense investment, after Intimidate, you are able to survive the Great Tusk Headlong Rush, which is actually very, very convenient. The Ting-Lu over here, basically, very standard set with, with max special defense. I think, most times you want max special defense on your Ting-Lu, especially with the Assault Vest, just to fully optimize the bulk that you have, right? Because, you don't really need so much HP. You can even argue maybe about 68 HP investment to get it to 239, kind of like the Iron Hands kind of idea. But I figured with such a high base HP stat, you don't really need so much HP. And then from there, I just wanted to go 236 Adamant to the EV benchmark, right? Just to deal a good amount of damage with your Stomping Tantrum and even like your Heavy Slam, for example. Ruination does pretty good chip damage already, but you only really click that every so often. But it's much better to just alternate between Fidgets and Stomping Tantrums, right? So there's the idea there. And then the leftover EVs, 12 defense and then 4 speed is just like for leftover stuff. The Palafin again hits the benchmark, with the 236 attack investment. And then I just took a little bit off the HP just to go into speed a little bit because, I might have potential speed wars with Palafins and I want to have the faster Palafin in the end of the day. So I figured let me just speed creep some of these Palafins that don't really invest in speed at all. And then just go from there. The Fluttermane here, so I put a little bit more HP than normal on this Fluttermane than some of my other Fluttermanes. That's just because of the substitute stuff. So basically, I also invested in defense. And idea also with 148 HP is you're optimizing the Life Orb chip, because you're ending in at 9. But again, 36 special attack investment, is the first benchmark in the Modest Nature. 156 speed lets you outspeed Adamant, 252 Dondozo, which is the idea there. And that's pretty much it, because after that, then you just, after you optimize for the Life Orb chip and you pick your speed tier and you pick your benchmark for the Modest Nature, then the rest just went into defense. And you'll see that I have another Fluttermane spread in some of these other teams where I actually take a little bit off the defense and put a little bit more in the HP. But again, it's just a very bulky Fluttermane that is just meant to do the job, hide behind the substitute, hide behind, intimidates and even the Ting-Lu stuff. But again, the Ting-Lu's going to make your special attacks weaker also, right? But, you're just relying on the bulk that you have on the team with the support and just dealing damage with Fluttermane, Baxcalibur, and the Palafin slowly, right, over time. All right, so that's the first rental. Let's go ahead and take a look at rental number 2. All right, so this is rental number 2. So, if you're going to be playing Regulation C, be prepared to see like Wo-Chien stall stuff. Especially with like Glamora, I feel like this is one of those common archetypes that you're expected to see. But then from here, just like you just have the support of the Arcanine, and then the Gothitelle is able to trap things. Perish trap stuff with Fluttermane, of course. But the idea with Gothitelle on a team like this is if you use the combination of Wo-Chien and Gothitelle, you're able to Leech Seed things. And then normally if they want to break the Leech Seed, they have to switch it out. But you can't do that if the Gothitelle is in there, right? So there's the trapping idea. And then you have the Glamora, because even if you don't have the Gothitelle out in the field, if you have the Glamora, what you're able to do, especially if you click Mortal Spin, is if you Leech Seed stuff and they want to switch out, but if there's Toxic Spikes out, once something switches in, they get poisoned, right? And then they're just taking a whole bunch of chip damage over time, and then you're just relying on the sheer bulk that you have on the rest of your team. Thankfully, the Wo-Chien is able to give you that support and attack damage reduction, and then from there, things start taking a lot of chip damage with the poison, the Leech Seed stuff, and even the Willows if you can't even get the poison stuff going, right? And then of course you have another potential end game play with the Parasong and the Fluttermane combined with the Gothitelle sub. So you just alternate your protects every now and then. 5 of our Pokemon have protect, and our Glamora has an Assault Vest, right? So the Glamora with the Assault Vest combined with the Intimidate, Arcanine, and Wo-Chien, attack reduction is able to stay on the field and just keep clicking damage after damage move, and then from there, you can keep pivoting in and out, with your Perish stuff. The Palafin also wants to get pivoted in and out because that's how you activate 0 to hero. And then when things have taken a bunch of chip damage, the Palafin can just come in and freely click a bunch of jet punches and start picking up the pieces. when things have dropped considerably low. All right, so this team plays very slow, plays very passively, it plays very positional based, as do most Perish teams. So if you're a fan of Perish style stuff, this is one kind of team that you can play and you're going to be expected to play against if you're playing this format. All right, so let's take a look at some of the EV spreads that we made for this team. All right, so over here, again, it's the same Arcanine spread that we have in the other team. It's pretty much just, meant to survive Hydro Pump from Iron Bundle and the Headlong Rush after Intimidate from a Great Tusk. Now you can see in our Flutter Mane spread, again, same speed tier where we're outspeeding Dondozo stuff, same EV benchmark with the Modest Nature. Now we have the Booster Energy instead of the Life Orb. So now I also, again, like I said, I put more in the HP and a little bit off of the defense. But I'm still ending in a 9 just to also optimize against the Tyranitar Sand Chip damage. But again, you still have a pretty good amount of bulk over here on your Flutter Mane. And then the Palafin, again, is the same exact spread, of course. And then now if we go into the Gothitelle, I have a pretty good amount of special defense investment here. This is just for the Flutter Mane Shadow Ball shenanigans, right? So you have you can live that, and then you can go into your berry and start healing. And then the Wo-Chien stuff as well. I just hit the benchmark and the defense mark, and then from there, just max HP. You don't really need speed on this thing, and you don't really need special attack either. You're just meant to be bulky, sit on the field, and click Leech Seed with the occasional Pollen Puff, of course, to heal your ally. That's pretty much all you really need out of your Wo-Chien. And again, with 252 HP, that gets you to the 192 mark, which optimizes for the leftovers recovery, right? It's a perfect 12 HP per turn. Which is what you want out of your leftovers, right? Complete flat whole number, not a decimal number where it would round down. The Glimmora over here, again, with 76 attack investment, that's the first benchmark in the Modest Nature for it. So that's always really nice. So this way you get some good damage out of it. And then pretty much max HP with the leftovers going into defense. Just for good physical bulk. And then the 84 special defense as well. You're able to take Side Shock from a Flutter Mane, which is relatively convenient, right? And then the rest just went into speed because you don't really need speed on this Glimmora. You're just meant to be bulky, sit on the field, click Mortal Spin, or click the occasional Earth Powers or Power Gems for that matter, right? So that's pretty much it for the CB spread on this team. So let's go into rental number 3. All right, with rental number 3, this is probably the fastest of the bunch to try and do. And, again, the whole idea with this is, you have the Lily Cole stuff that, has worked in Regulation B regionals, has won Regulation B regionals also, where you just able to click Sleep Powder, in the sun, you have good speed control. Then the Torkoal can just click Eruption, especially after the Lilligant clicks after you. We all know that, right? But then you add Chi-Yu here, and Chi-Yu actually makes this entire team relatively better because now what you're able to do is you can really switch in, the Flutter Mane out with the Chi-Yu, and then now all of a sudden your Torkoal's Eruptions are hitting even harder, which is actually funny. And then from there, you also have the Chi-Yu Flutter Mane combination where, you're just dropping special defenses, and then, both your Chi-Yu and your Flutter Mane are doing even more damage than normal. This is a very common duo that you'll see throughout Regulation C. So, if you want to use it yourself, here it is on a typical Sun team, but that's the idea here. And then Chi-Yu also benefits from Torkoal's Sun, just because, you have boosted fire damage, so that's always really nice. And we have a Choice Scarf here, so this way we can outspeed potential threats. And then at the same time, we have a Flutter Mane with Trick Room here, so this way if we want to play the slow game and position the Torkoal for Eruption play, we can do that as well. But then on the other side, you have the Dragonite Great Tusk stuff. So the Dragonite here has Tailwind for even more speed control, because then the Great Tusk becomes relatively fast, and then of course with the Great Tusk, you can function in and out of Trick Room. You can have Earthquake next to your Dragonite, for a nice little bit of synergy there, and you are Focus Sash here, so you can take one big attack. And Great Tusk teams, Great Tusk in general also does well on some teams because again with Photosynthesis like Flutter Mane, you're able to get an attack boost. In Flutter Mane's case, you're going to get a special attack boost, but Great Tusk generally enjoys Torkoal stuff because not only that, it'll reduce water damage against you because you're a ground type, so there's some good synergy there. Alright, and it's just a very, very aggressive Great Tusk hiding behind a Focus Sash. Right, the Ice Spinner coverage on the Dragonite is just for like the terrain stuff, in case, there's not as much as before, but the Indeedee armor stuff with the terrain, you're just able to remove that and neuter their, expanding force damage. It'll just be single target and they don't get a damage boost anymore. And of course, Terra Blast, Terra Flying is just a very solid, consistent option on Dragonite. With the Lumberry, you're able to at least get have a get out of jail free card. Where you're dodging a burn, you're dodging a sleep, at least for at least one turn. And then in an open team sheet, they may not even click that move because they see that you have a Lumberry, so they may opt for something else. And that's really good, if you're in that kind of situation. And of course, I did put Inner Focus rather than Multi-Skill on this type of team, just to not get intimidated and not get faked out. So this way I can freely set up that Tailwind, which I think is very important for some of our options here, especially for Fluttermane and Chi-Yu and even Great Tusk. They would very much appreciate a Tailwind freely set up, okay? But yeah, it's a very solid, aggressive team. It functions a lot like the Regulation B teams that won some of those tournaments. So if you want to give an aggressive team like this a go, here's the rental. And of course, let's go over the EV spreads. All right, so a lot of these are very, very basic spreads. Like if you look at the Lilligant, Torkoal, and Chi-Yu, of course, 252 spreads. Nothing else needs to be said over there. By the way, the Covert Cloak is on the Lilligant, again, for the fake out stuff. I think it's very important that you're able to get off that sleep powder or even that after you, and then the Torkoal can just do what it needs to do, right? From here, if you look at our Dragonite set, again, it's a very, very solid standard Dragonite. Again, 196 HP is just for that, sand chip damage for the Tyranitar. I maxed its attack, and then I put it in a little bit of speed, of course. But then the Great Tusk over here, I also went Adamant Nature over here rather than Jolly. Now, maybe that's a little bit subjective. Maybe Jolly's a little bit better, but I like the boosted damage, especially along with Photosynthesis. You just deal so much damage, right? So I just wanted to go Adamant over here. And then that Fluttermane set is the same Fluttermane that you saw in the other team. Again, Mental Outspeed, Dondozos, first benchmark in special attack, and then optimize 159 HP for the Tyranitar stuff, and then the rest just went into the remainder of the bulk, which is defense. All right, so it's a pretty standard set in terms of our EVs, but let's move on to the final rental. All right, so with the final rental that we're going to be giving out today is a Maushold Annihilape core with Ting-Lu. I think those three are relatively strong together, and then the other three options that you'll see really depends on player preference and also team preference and variance, but I feel like this is all relatively solid and consistent with this 6. But again, we know what the idea is behind Maushold and Annihilape, and again, both of these are relatively strong in this format, especially the Annihilape. The fighting coverage is very, very good against all of these, Treasures of Ruin Pokemon, so definitely consider using Annihilape if you can. But, you can always just beat up your Annihilape and then just does super big damage with its Rage Fist. And then you can also just redirect or follow me and set up potential bulk ups, and then just get passive recovery with the leftovers, which is really nice. And then you're getting defense boost off of those bulk ups, right? And then at the same time you can also get special attack damage reduction when combined with the Ting-Lu, which is also over here on this team. Again, just providing that kind of support for Dragonite, for Annihilape, for Chien-Pao, for Maushold for that matter. And then speaking of support from the Maushold, of course, Friend Guard, just to make the overall team bulkier than it is, which is very, very much appreciated. Maushold Fluttermane is also a relatively strong combination. Normally on teams like this, you might see like Choice Specs Fluttermane, but I just like the option of having Protect over here. So I like it a lot. It makes a lot of sense. But for me, I generally enjoy it. And then from there, the Dragonite has, of course, Tailwind once again. And this time we have Stomping Tantrum for our ground coverage on our team, which I think is a relatively solid and consistent option in this regard. We normally, you can even put like Low Kick on the Dragonite, but because you have the Annihilape already, I don't think it's completely necessary. But Dragonite, Chien-Pao stuff, you already know what they do. You just click Extreme Speed, and although we don't have the Choice Band, so we're not doing as much damage as you want, but again, just having access to a Lumberry and also having access to Tailwind is actually really, really nice on teams like this, especially with Annihilape, Chien-Pao, and Fluttermane that both can use the Tailwind support. So there's the idea there. And of course the Ting-Lu stuff, just again alternating Fissures and Stomping Tantrums while having access to Runation for chip damage over time makes things like picking up KOs with extreme speed, with Sucker Punches, and then the Fluttermane and Annihilape stuff can also start picking up KOs once things have taken a lot of damage and a lot of chip damage from the Ting-Lu. Alright, so that's pretty much how the team functions. So let's take a look at some of the EV spreads. Alright, so starting with the Maushold over here. So basically the idea here is to just go max HP, of course, and then with 36 special defense investment, you're able to survive the Flood of Main Choice Specs Moonblast, because ideally when you pair the two together, Maushold and Annihilape, and you're faced with the Flood of Main, what they want to do is click Moonblast into your Annihilape, right? Well, if you're going to click Redirection with Follow Me, you need to be able to survive that. So with the redirection support, and with that special defense investment, you can take that Moonblast. So this way your Annihilape can freely set up and just maybe click a Rage Fist, for example. At the same time, from there, you just have the speed to outspeed Goldango stuff at the same time, for that matter. So, and then from there, you just have leftover defense, which is where the rest of the bulk went into. Annihilate, same idea as the Maushold. You just have 172 special defense to survive the Flood of Main Moonblast combination with the 180 HP, and you have 180 HP, just so that you have the optimized leftovers recovery. So with 188 HP, and then 172 special defense, you live that Flood of Main Moonblast. And then from there, it's just, get the first bump in the attack stat with the Adamant Nature. You're going for bulk ups. You're getting Rage Fist boosted with beat up stuff. So, you don't need so much attack. So that's the idea there. And then the rest just went into speed, right? You don't really need so much speed. Same Ting-Lu spread as always. And then even the Dragonite, again, a relatively same speed. Chien-Pao, of course, 252, 252. And again, our Flutter Mane is that same spread as always, with the exception of the first Flutter Mane. 159 HP, meant to optimize for Life Orb chip or Tyranitar Sand chip damage. First bump in the Modest Nature, and then, outspeeding, Adamant down Dozo. And then 84 defense is just a leftover EVs, right? So, again, relatively standard EV spreads with just a couple calcs in mind. But that's the idea here with some of what we have. So hopefully you've enjoyed the rentals that we've been putting out here. So again, there's 4 of them. I wanted to put on another one, but I'm going to save that slot for a little bit more as long as the meta progresses. I want to save that slot for another type of rental team. I may even just put out that rain team, or maybe even a snow team that I had in mind. But at least you have 4 to get started with. You have a hyper aggressive sun team. You have, a stall team. You have this team with Maushold and Annihilape. And then the other team with the balanced Baxcalibur stuff with Arcanine, Amoonguss, and Palafin. So I think those are like 4 types of archetypes that are expected to be seen in the early get-goes of Regulation C. So this way I wanted to put out those rentals. So this way you can try them out, get a good feel of what the meta is like, and then see what kind of team you want to play. And then from there, after testing out these teams, then you can, establish maybe your own team and see what you want to go in terms of your play for Regulation C. And again, if you want to build a team, just like what we did here, and I show you how to do all these EV spreads, sign up for coaching, sign up for a team building session on the channel. Again, that's a tier 3 sub. If you just look in the video description or take a look at the comments section, or every single video has a join button. If you click the join button or click the link, then you're able to sign up with tier 3. Then we get to book a one-on-one team building session on a Discord call, and then we get you that team that you need for Regulation C, from the get-go, whether it be an upcoming regional or another online tournament. Either way, we get you that team that you need for Regulation C. All right, so check out coaching on the channel, like I just said. All right, but we'll be back in another video in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good one.